call to order the January 3rd, 2017 work session of Swarthmore Borough Council. I note that all members are present, except Mr. Cregan, who may be here, and as is the mayor is present. We welcome at this point public comment from anyone who wishes to talk with us about a matter of borough concern. If you wish to talk with us, you may come forward and take the mic. Tell us your street address, name and street address. Seeing no one wishes.
No, I think Bill is planning to. He's setting up an easel of pictures.
Oh, really? Okay. Let's come forward with your easel and pictures, sir. Oh, please.
Well, okay. Come on. I've been told to speak into the microphone.
Yes, please.
First of all, Happy New Year to everyone. I think that this is a wonderful town full of wonderful neighbors, and I've gotten to know a number of them much better over the past couple months because we've been very concerned about what's happening next door in Springfield.
That all having been said, but tell us your name.
I missed your name.
Oh, my name is Bill Menke.
Yes.
I'm at 6 Ogden Avenue in Swarthmore.
Okay. Carry on.
And have lived here since 1978.
Okay, thank you.
I've been involved with Springfield Square for pretty much all that time, since before it was there. And I think that there are a number of neighbors who are very concerned about what's happening and what the borough can do to help them. In particular, there are two neighbors who are Christine O'Donnell and Sandy Furlane, who woke up one day and found out that the backyard next to them had all its trees removed. And before that, a couple of years before that, the buffer that was between them and Springfield Park was removed. So one day they opened up their eyes and they saw Baltimore Pike clear as day and Springfield Park within view of their backyard, which it had never been before. So it was very sad to see their reaction to this because they were very aware that their next door neighbors sold property to the Depot interests of Springfield Park. And further down the street, I've had a very long relationship with Gloria and Steve Ellers. Now, Gloria and Steve Ellers had children about the same time that we did, and so we've gotten to know them very well. And Steve and I were Peace Corps volunteers in separate countries, joining each other at different times in Venezuela and Colombia.
As was my wife and I when you were older, I guess. What were your years?
Mine was 69 to 71.
We were Nigeria, 62 to 64.
Well, you're way early.
I know it's because we're very old.
I may look as white-haired as you, but I'm not that old.
I'll see you, Peace Corps Ranger too, but go ahead.
So Steve told me a fascinating story that had been told to him by a former mayor, which his former mayor was asked by Paul DeBotton to meet him at Starbucks. And Steve's not here tonight, but I'll relay this as best I can, which is that Paul DeBotton asked this former mayor to meet him at Starbucks. And the purpose of the meeting was to find out who in the borough would help him to jump the border to Swarthmore with commercial. So this is what we're up against. And I think that this is partly what we're seeing. I know that I've sent you an email with photographs showing what's been happening. And I know that other people have also sent emails. Further down the street, we have Samina Iqbal, who's not here tonight. But Samina has done a wonderful job of trying to decipher what went on before they bought 507 Riverview. 507 Riverview is the property that is immediately adjacent to what, in the agreement that you all have copies of, is called the Holy Tract. And it was an architect's office before that, and then the Holies bought it, and somehow between 1985 and 1984, the design was changed on the plans so that instead of buffer next to their property, there was a turnaround that was be kept. That turnaround since then, as you've seen from my email, has been turned into additional parking and storage for maintenance materials and also for building materials. It also has a fence that, instead of being 10 feet off their property line as everyone else's fence, is right on the property line. And interestingly enough, last week, the borough's, the DuPuton's civil engineer was on Sabina Iqbal's and Tony Jenninger's property trying to determine where exactly that property line was. So apparently there is some concern about this issue. Over the years, a number of things have happened which have been cataloged very well by Marie Puthie, who's here tonight, and who may well speak after I do. Marie has noted, I worked with Marie and John and Mary Hens on a redesign of the buffer planting that was when the Springfield Square South removed the detention basin, which was an open pond, and then put it underground in a series of pipes and expanded the parking. We took a look at the planting plan, saw it was terrible, and so we worked out additional changes. And Dave Damon, who was the civil engineer, has recently called me as of last month and said how wonderful that looks. But since that time, which was 2006, the DuPuton family has removed a number of mature trees that were to have been retained. Additionally, they have removed mature trees next to their office, which is the old Holy Track property that we were talking about. And so as a result, next to 507 Riverview, which is the property that's closest to the Holy Tract and the National Realtors, National Developers Company, has become much more open, and the lights and the sounds from Springfield Square impinge on their property. The most egregious issue, though, is what happened along Baltimore Pike. At Baltimore Pike, Springfield Square South has removed all the buffer planting that was initially installed behind 541 Riverview. 541 Riverview is the house that's just one in from the corner property. Now that house, being owned by the DuPuton interest, as I mentioned in my email to you, I think that what the DuPuton people think is that if they own a property, they can do whatever they want with the buffer, including removing it. But as I read the agreement is between the borough of Swarthmore and the township of Springfield. So I don't think that this was legal, and they can do whatever they want with the backyard at 541 Riverview. They've also removed some trees from 545 Riverview, which I've documented in the email that I sent to you. Further down the street, we have Mary Hens. Mary Hens owns 4 parcels. 3 of them are half in Springfield and half in Swarthmore. She has been numerously been approached by Paul DuPuton to sell her property to Springfield Square South and the DuPuton interests. So we know that there's something afoot. Now Bob Scott, who was very nice to meet with us along with Mary Walk, has told me that the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court ruling is it. It cannot be appealed. However, it appears that the DuPuton interests think that it can. And if there is a back door, they're going to try and find it. So we have these 3 things which have happened in the last 10 years. The removal of mature trees from the buffer, the removal of mature trees from adjacent to National Realty Company's offices, and the removal of mature trees from the buffer that was behind 541 Riverview Avenue. Finally, I'd like to say a thank you to Sarah, who has written a wonderful email. And it's one of the best emails that I've gotten since Donald Trump was elected president. And it is full of facts.
You didn't have to bring that up too as part of your presentation. Keep on going.
It was full of facts and it was very diplomatic. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak with us about that or any other subject?
These are all people from Riverview.
Well, I understand. You either can talk now or we're going to go on with our business. And you're, okay. I'm not urging you to talk. Now is the time to talk if you came for the purpose of talking.
Sure.
Sure.
Did you urge me on?
Well,
My name is Marie Covey. I live at 451 Riverview Road. And since 19... And I've had correspondence with Ubercom for many years and with the borough. What I'm here to say is I think it's really utmost importance to uphold the contract that we have, that Swarthmore has with Springfield, especially at the northern end where the buffer has been removed. There's been a gradual progression, removal of trees over the years. I feel that there's been no recourse to this. As trees are taken down or cut, even calling the police doesn't stop it because I feel there's no, as a resident, I don't have any footing to stop.
You must talk into the mic.
Okay. I don't have any recourse to say, stop, you're not allowed to cut those trees down. So I'm asking the Borough Council to be that group that says, stop, you're not allowed to do this. And without your backing and your enforcement of the contract, there is no way to stop it. So you need to do that.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Peter? Dr. Bloom?
Peter's fine. Sorry, I've got a torn meniscus. I'm Peter Bloom, 416 Riverview Road, and I want to thank Mary Walk and Bob Scott for having that session with the neighbors. I have only one question. What is the schedule of how we would know what the council's response will be? None of us on Riverview feel that this is a Riverview Road issue. We feel it is a borough issue, much like when I was far more active in the original hearings that we had as it resulted in the Supreme Court decision. What can we expect? Bob Scott was suggesting that perhaps there was not a legal basis here and there, and that might restrict the council. But when would the neighbors know, which would be great comfort to really extreme anxiety that many are feeling, especially if they have to sell their homes to this person? When and in what form might we take this? I know you had an executive session last time, and we're not pushy, but on the other hand, I think we'd like to know that the council is with us and in what tangible form or not. So a possible schedule would be
Well,
very helpful.
the solicitor will be in written communication with the Dubontons as a follow-up to the meeting that was held with the neighbors within 2 weeks to make a series of points, but I'm not going to tell you here what those points will be, but that's the next step. Is so it's a written communication asserting various positions to the Dubonton interests, in whatever the corporate name of that is. That's the next step.
Will the folks on Riverview Road, especially Tony Denninger, who's sort of leading the group, think ever get a copy of that letter once it is composed and sent?
I'm mindful of the neighbor's desire to have information, and I'll do what I can.
Okay.
Okay, I don't want to say much more than that, because
That's fine, that's
but
fine.
I understand that you want to remain informed, and do what I can with it.
At what point, in a tangible sense, as some of us comment, would we know on Riverview that the borough's behind us for not just own flag.
The borough is pursuing it, whether or not pursuing it in the form that the neighbors would prefer, which I take it to be a lawsuit filed day after tomorrow.
No, not necessarily.
Or next week, but
I think
we will pursue it consistent with the advice we get from our solicitor as to our legal standing in the matter, given what has transpired over the years since that place was built. Further, the opponent said.
Okay, that's all for now. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else on that or any other subject?
I just want to say that myself and
Could you identify your, I think I should know, and I don't, so I apologize.
I apologize to Barbara Whitaker Shimko. I live at 445 Riverview. Most important thing to me is the whole haven that Swarthmore is in Delaware County. When you turn into Swarthmore, you're in a different world, and that's why people live here. And that the encroachment of commercial onto Riverview would take that feeling away. And so I think this is more than a Riverview Road issue. I think it's a town issue. And that we all feel in this town that it's a special kind of place. And that's a broad statement, but I think really, really important.
Okay, thank you. I think it is known by all concerned that in the past, the borough has been prepared to fight in court the efforts by Mr. Dupoton to alter the status of that. I haven't committed to memory, like everybody else here has, what particular Riverview number or particular structure has, but to change the zoning for the house that abuts Baltimore Pike.
545.
Okay, 545, and has taken that as far as it needed to be taken. And so it's not as if the borough has not acted in a way to preserve the residential character of Riverview Road, which it will, I'm sure, although my time on this council is limited to one more year, this one, that I am sure that every council going forward will do everything possible to preserve Riverview roads on both sides, and most particularly on the side of concern to you as a residential street. And will meet efforts to change that by whomever vigorously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add one thing?
If it's brief.
Frank? Since you mentioned 545, there are a couple.
I didn't mention it, but that's the house that's been
I mentioned
reported.
it.
That's what he mentioned. Mr.
Maybe
Murphy.
David.
One of the Davids mentioned.
Well, I know you know 545 because all the vegetation was removed from
Oh,
the
yeah.
site. But there are a couple of interesting things which we found out recently. One of them is that in the Delaware County records, that property is now listed as 545 Baltimore Pike. Now, I don't know who would be able to do that other than the owner, but it's no longer 545 Riverview, which to me indicates this is another clue as to what the Depotons are after. The second thing is that the only people that I know who are able to change information on Zillow are the owners of the property. And on Zillow.com, that property is listed as being in Springfield, which would make it a great advantage for zoning.
Well, but they can say I'm Zillow whatever they want, but it's in Swarthmore.
Right, but this is just an indication.
Well, okay, I
of what you-
understand
what you're up against.
that Mr. Dupoton has no reservoir of goodwill with
No.
the people. But the fact is, he can't affect the geographic location of a house. It is where it is.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks. There's some graphics here showing, before and afters and what was removed if you're
Okay.
interested.
Did you mind leaving them? Can we keep them?
You have an email.
Are these the same ones that were attached to an email?
These are good though.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you may keep them.
And yes, are the same from the email?
No.
Okay.
There were additional ones.
Okay, thank you. Now, we'll make sure you get them back.
I will keep my easel.
It's your easel.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on any subject tonight? Excuse my cold, but seems to go on forever.
Thank you, David, for doing so much over the past 30 years on this issue. I appreciate it.
Well, it hasn't been me, but people before us.
Oh, no, I think that you were involved, and I appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, I almost bought the house in 1973, the house that became the
Curry
Holy
House.
House. Really, seriously, kid goes to buy that house.
It's a hell of a nice house.
So I would have the parking lot that is filled with building materials.
With Roy Carroll's house.
It was Roy Carroll's house. Yes, okay. Thank you. Turning to the agenda, the President, we have a number of appointments to make tonight. I would ask Ms. Billings whether she is interested in continuing to serve as Borough Manager this year.
Yes, sir.
With that cleared up, is there a motion to appoint a Borough Manager for this year, 2017? And who would that person be? Jean Dillon. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Why? Everybody's really sucking up to the Borough Manager. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? You're, with gratitude, you're reappointed.
Thank you.
for
My
another
husband
year.
asked if it was like a baseball contract, guaranteed. I said absolutely not. Totally I will, put in tomorrow.
Of course,
An NFL contract.
But thank you anyway.
that all having been
Yeah.
said, any appointment being made here is at the will, is the
Absolutely.
will of the council.
Put in tomorrow.
Well, I don't know, we give more notice. Do you have a recommendation, newly reappointed Borough Manager, for the appointment of a Borough Engineer for the year 2017?
So I would recommend the appointment of Panoni Associates. We have a representative from the company tonight. If you have any questions?
Okay, is there a motion to reappoint Panoni and Associates, or Panoni Associates as the Borough Engineers for 2017?
I'll move to reappoint Community Associates as the Borough Engineer in
Is there-
2017.
Is there a second? Lauren, second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? Panoni Associates is reappointed for another year. And so you can go and back and take credit for that.
I will.
Our present solicitor is Robert Scott. More recently, because his wife has become an employee of Swarthmore College, he has advised us that he does not believe he can appropriately represent the borough in matters in connection with matters which involve Swarthmore College, and has recommended Carl Ewald to serve in that. And so I would, are you prepared to continue to serve as solicitor?
Yes, absolutely. Grateful.
And do you believe Carl is prepared to continue in that role?
Yes.
So I would solicit a motion to reappoint Robert Scott as Borough Solicitor and Carl Ewald as Assistant Solicitor for the purpose indicated. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Is there any opposed? Mr. Scott and Mr. Ewald are reappointed.
Thank you very much.
Does the Borough Manager have a recommendation for Borough Treasurer for the year 2017?
Yes, I would recommend the appointment of Nancy Colullo.
And she presently serves in that position. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Carries second. And this motion carries with it authorization for the Borough Treasurer to collect borough taxes and sewer and trash fees. It is understood this motion so includes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? Ms. Grillo is reappointed in that position with that power for the year 2017. We need to we need to, would the borough manager please explain the role of the vacancy board, which we do annually?
We do. The vacancy board is one person who is called upon if there is a tie in a vote to replace a vacated seat on Borough Council.
Okay. And this is a position that exists under the Pennsylvania Borough Code.
That's correct.
And this position has been held for many years by a former president of Borough Council, Peg Christensen. Is she prepared to continue in that role?
Yes.
Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I'm going to run against Peg next year.
Okay. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? Peg is reappointed that position with the thanks of Borough Council. We have a vacancy now as Swarthmore's representative to the Central Delaware County Authority, CDCA. That position has been filled most recently by former council president Susan Smythe. And she has mysteriously agreed to continue to serve in that position for, what's the term? 5 years. And in the past, she succeeded me, blessedly, in that position. And she has received, this is a compensated position for virtually all boroughs and townships, of which there are 12 represented at CDCA. Virtually all are compensated, and the Swarthmore representative has been compensated since time immemorial in that position at $600 a year. And I recommend that we jack that the whole way to $750 a year. And so I would entertain a motion to reappoint Susan Smythe as Swarthmore's representative to the Central Delaware County Authority for a 5-year term at the rate of $750 a year. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. Please advise former council president Smythe for reappointment and the increase in her compensation with the thanks of council.
Will do. Thank you.
We have had provided to us the meetings circulated, the council committee meeting schedule. Excuse my cold. And so that's something that you have. I simply note it as it appears on the agenda. I would note before we get into the committees that the borough manager has provided to us back up a moment. The council is aided and the borough is aided in its work and in seeing to the needs of the borough by a number of commissions and authorities and committees, all of which are people by residents of the borough who serve without compensation, without whose service the borough would be less than it is today. And a number of those they're appointed by council, and they're invariably vacancies rise, and there are vacancies in a number of these at this point. And I would like it to be known through the press and the Swarthmorean that we solicit interest from all citizens who may be interested in serving the borough in any one of the bodies, and I'll name some. Without regard, I would say that when we moved to this town in 1969, it was strangely an overwhelmingly Republican town. And so all the members of council and the mayor were Republicans, and so far as I could tell, and all the members of all the bodies in town were filled by Republicans. Time having taken its course, now you see before us all Democrats. I hope everybody understands who might be interested in serving on this Swarthmore Borough Authority, on the Environmental Advisory Council, on the Tree Committee, on the planning commission or on the zoning hearing board, all of which have open positions. I hope it is understood that we solicit people to serve on these without regard to national origin, race, sexual preference, or political affiliation. We don't ask, we don't know, we don't care. All we care about is trying to find people who will work with us and for our fellow Swarthmoreans for the good of the borough. So the Environmental Advisory Council has 2 positions open. The Tree Committee has 3 positions open. The Human Relations Commission has 1 position open. The Planning Commission has 2 positions open. The Zoning Hearing Board has 2 positions open. One is for an alternate on the Zoning Hearing Board, assuming that the current alternate is appointed to a regular 5-year term. If anyone is interested in serving on any of these bodies, they can talk to any one of us on council. It tends to be that the committee of council under which that has the relationship to the body is the one who brings the nominations to council. So, for example, Mary Walker, who's chair of Planning and Zoning, she's the one who will bring to us proposed persons to be newly on the Planning Commission. Same with the Zoning Hearing Board. EAC and the Tree Committee would be Lauren McKinney, who is chair of the Environment Committee. And so you can talk to those folks directly, or you can talk to me or any other council person, or just talk to the office, borough office, if you want more information about what might be involved in serving in any of these roles. Then our committees will talk to those folks and see what their interests are and what their backgrounds are that might best suit them to serve on one or another of these bodies. So we encourage people who have some time, but not a world of time, who might have time to do work on one of these committees or authorities to let us know that. We value your participation. Thank you. Now, I turn to the Environment Committee.
Mr. Grove?
Yes.
If I could ask if I could skip ahead to Public Works?
Why don't we just skip ahead to Public Works?
I apologize, I should ask you earlier.
It's probably time for the center jump. It's the jump ball.
It is. We did not meet last month. We plan to meet on the 26th of this month at 8:30 right here. And we have a couple items from the Environment Committee, I believe, concerning Little Cup Creek. Susan Zicci.
Environmental Advisory
I'm
Council.
sorry, mixed them up. But that's our only agenda. We welcome other topics, anything Public Works, Recreation related. That's all I
Okay.
have.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Is it really the 26th or
Oh, goodness, am I wrong again?
public safety the 3rd Tuesday?
Needs Public Works.
Public
Oh,
Works.
Public Works.
I was just going to give a
Yes,
really
ma'am.
brief update.
Go ahead.
Next, on the project, the street
Oh,
project.
oh, God
Right,
bless you. I'll give an update.
Well,
Go.
I don't know about that, but next week on the agenda, there'll be a request to approve bids for a project that's associated with the Streetscape project. One of the new sidewalks that's going in is along Crescent Avenue, and we needed to bolster, Pinoni actually did the plan, Eric probably did them. It's called the Gabion Wall. You can look up some obscure Italian word, and it will create, it'll strengthen the embankment of the creek where the new sidewalk will go. We'll do that, which is timely. It can be done actually even in not particularly good weather. It's about a $13,000 job. We've been planning for that all along. I did talk to the engineers for the project today. They have struggled, again, to get PennDOT approval, but feel that everything is submitted and that they are still in line for spring work, assuming that it gets into the PennDOT bid process soon. So nothing has changed. The project is as is. Everything's been approved. It's just been very slow.
Thank you for the
So
update.
it's not a great update, but we are moving forward with this critical, getting this so all the sidewalk work can be done on time.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for that.
You're excused.
Thank you.
Okay. Sign the witness.
Yeah, it's because of people like that.
Steve, please. Okay. Finance Committee.
What happened in environment?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was totally thrown by that adjustment. Finance, no. Environment, your committee, Laura, whatever it is.
I do have a couple of names for Environmental Advisory Council. Should I appoint them now? Should I have them say now? Or is that how we do
Just
it?
gonna make the recommendation and next week I'll do it.
Okay,
That's right.
right.
Although we are voting tonight on other appointments, so it's up to council, but that would be the normal procedure.
I'll just float the names and
Okay, good.
think about them all week. And, Matt McCabe and Ashley Grider are like to recommend them for appointment to the EAC.
Okay.
And I've been thinking a lot about the EAC, and I think that I want to recommend that the EAC develop some bylaws. And I'm not on it, I'm just the liaison, and it's kind of vague what the liaison actually does. It's never been defined. And also, I don't see it defined anywhere what the Environment Committee actually does, but to be frank. But that is something that in the course of deciding about the pipeline, what was it called, resolution that we worked on later a few months ago.
Right.
It became clear that it's not really written anywhere how the EAC makes decisions, and some things I think need to be formalized a little bit more. But I can only make that recommendation to the EAC, and but I think it's something. There seems to be some energy that people have toward doing that. So. To that end, I mean, now that my fellow Environment Committee people aren't here right now, which is kind of funny, but I think we will meet if the gentlemen are free on our usual time on January 24th to kind of maybe help with the process of writing some bylaws. And so that's all I have really.
Okay,
If anyone has any advice about that, I welcome it.
thank you. Finance.
We did not meet last month, and we are unlikely to meet this month, that's all.
Okay, thank you. General Government.
We did meet last month. Two things were on the agenda. Swarthmore Town Center came in and made a presentation about the Community Arts Center Fine Arts and Crafts Festival, which will be on September 23. We discussed that at the last council meeting also. That's going ahead fine. There was also discussion by the Aging in Place Implementation Group, and the members that are Ann Torregrossa, Linton Stables, and Kerry Hogue. And they expressed their disappointment that the council did not provide the $20,000 that was requested for a corporation that was to be created but had not yet been created. But also thought that it was good that money had been allocated in the form of grants for the SRA and the library. And the committee encouraged them to communicate directly with the boards and leadership of SRA and the library to make their wishes known about how those funds should be spent. And so there was a lot of further discussion. I expect this year we're going to see continuing discussion about how to help aging members of our community. Our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, January 16 at 7:30 p.m. We're going to keep that on the calendar even though it's Martin Luther King Day. We don't have anything yet, and if nothing comes up, we'll just cancel it.
Okay.
After that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just add, since I was at Ross's meeting, there was some concern, I think there's great interest on the part of the aging in place people on the, what's it called? The time bank. And that, which is where you can get credit for doing volunteer work. And I think a little disappointment on their part that they didn't think the two agencies that were getting $5,000 grants were probably the right place to store that activity. So I'm going to do a little bit of research and hopefully can find the appropriate group to be interested in moving that forward, as opposed to starting a new group to have to rein it in. So we have a lot of other places that have done similar work that I think will be helpful in setting something up.
And the members appreciate, they very much
Yeah.
appreciate your volunteering to
So,
do that. Yes.
Just wanted, if anyone has any familiarity with it all, has worked on it. I
The time
certainly-
bank?
The time bank, yeah.
You mean the media time?
Yeah.
But there's a national.
But that's a national
And then
organization, right?
there's materials readily available to
Absolutely,
be
right.
used for that purpose.
Media just seems to be so successful. And maybe that was just how it seemed when we talked about it.
Well, if they plowed the field, certainly take advantage of what they've learned. They must, as with any other new enterprise, they must have learned how to do some things
Right.
along the way. Public safety, Vice President Cregan, who's not here as chair of that committee, is other member of that committee wish to share anything about its activity with us tonight?
No.
No, okay. Public Works, we've heard from. Other business, does anybody have it?
Mr. President, you
Oh,
skipped
I
my
skipped
minute.
right over planning and zoning.
Thank you.
It's my cold, sorry. Yes, planning and zoning.
Thank you. We did not meet last month. We do have a meeting scheduled for this month, Thursday, January 26th at 7:30 PM here. It is on the calendar. It is possible we will not have that meeting. The only thing that might be on the agenda is talking about the vacancies that you mentioned before. And I did just want to say that a current member of the Planning Commission whose term expired in December of 2016, Chris DeBruin, has graciously agreed to serve another term. So we've got one of those vacancies filled.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, now can I get to other business? I apologize for my meandering through the agenda tonight. Does anybody else have any other business to bring before us tonight? I see no hands. Mayor Kearney, please.
Thank you, David. I had the pleasure of going to Harrisburg today to attend the swearing in of Leanne Kruger-Branke, which is a very interesting, a wonderful, very interesting affair. Harrisburg is always interesting to go to see the workings of our state government. And I just want to reiterate that I'm constantly amazed at Leanne's ability to navigate that particular swamp, and how lucky we are to have her represent us in Harrisburg. Next week, I will give our State of the Borough address.
Okay.
That's my mayor section, so look forward to that.
As do we. Again, we entertain public comment on any subject relevant to the borough. Seeing no hands, borough manager.
Yeah, I sent out an email earlier. As some of you will recall, we don't have a tax collector right now. We actually resigned in the middle of her term and was appointed treasurer, which you just did again. But the position will be on the ballot in May, in May. And once again, because you already have somebody in-house collecting the taxes, the position has to go on the ballot, but at a compensation of $1. Chances are that nobody will find that particularly appealing, but they will know before they run what the salary is, won't be changed for the 4 years of that term. That's all that the resolution does.
Anything else tonight? Bob?
Thanks, I don't have anything.
Okay. In the absence of Mr. Murphy, would somebody else like to make the motion to adjourn?
Someone?
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.